Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joining me today is your Chief of Police. It's Chad Brecklin. Chad, how you doing?
I'm good, Jeremy. How are you and how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good because I'm sitting at home and you're sitting in your office.
Yes, I am. But we all are doing our part to weather the current public health situation, and doesn't matter where you're at as long as you're contributing. And I know you are certainly contributing, and then some as well as the rest of your team, wherever you may be.
I know. Well, that's the thing. We're all over the place. I have studios set up all over the place, Chad. So all I have to do is call me, and I just go to a designated spot and start talking. Like that's the way we've been rolling. So it's a good setup. Chad, we're gonna get an update from you from the police department. We'll turn right to the COVID-19 pandemic. It's been a while since we've talked with you about this. Kind of give us a synopsis from the police department, kind of uh, what your department's been doing for safety, helping with the community, and I do want to get to donations as well. But first off, how's the department doing?
Overall, we are doing well. Thank you very much for asking. We've been able to stay healthy through all of this situation, so we're very fortunate on that front. Our PPE, personal protective equipment needs have been mostly met, so we don't have any critical shortages. So we've been able to provide our staff with the appropriate PPE. Obviously, in their daily interactions with folks, we are unfortunately coming into contact with folks who are positive for COVID. So that has definitely increased our staff's awareness, knowing that they do need to use precautions to try to make sure that they are minimizing their potential for exposure, recognizing that in our line of work it's unavoidable. And they certainly want to return home safely to their families. So it's been going well overall. But again, as time has gone on, we've had several different cases where officers have been exposed. But again, fortunately, we have not had any officers test positive.
That's good to hear. Overall, Chad, as far as how you're policing the city, have we seen changes in any of our approaches for what we're doing, or is it business as usual?
It's mostly business as usual. Obviously, we've kind of minimized some of our proactive enforcement activities. We're focusing our traffic enforcement on hazardous violations, signal violations, stop sign violations, or traffic control measure violations, and excessive speed. So those are kind of our main focuses. Clearly, OWI will always be a focus regardless of the situation and those sorts of things. But we really are limiting our contact with folks for things that don't present safety concerns. Otherwise, it's really business as usual. If you call the police department, you're still going to get access to an officer. Only difference being is that you might talk to one on the phone now, where in the past we would be happy to send one to you in person, and we'll still send somebody in person, certainly if the situation warrants it. But for the most part, we are seeing what we can handle by phone. But there's still a whole host of things that require the physical presence of an officer, and by all means, we are there for our community and available to respond to those situations.
Chad, and I don't know if you can answer this or not, but have we really seen an uptick in crime? Like with everybody being at home, is the dynamics of what you guys are dealing with? I know we talked about domestics being something to be keep an eye on, but overall, is any of that shifting at all, or something that surprises you? And I do want to talk. Car thefts have continued to be an issue, and that would be an area we'll look at. But what have you?
So, clearly there's a lot less traffic on the road with folks staying at home and abiding by the safer at home order. So we have to be seeing a decline in traffic crashes would be my guesstimate, but we haven't fully analyzed the numbers at this point in time. We did a preliminary look at mid March through the end of April not so long ago, and preliminarily it looks like calls by citizens into the police department have remained flat. However, it does appear that our disturbances and family trouble calls might at least be up a little bit, and that's probably to be expected with more people at home. More people are listening to cars or listening to TVs and stereos and those sorts of things, which could lead to calls related to that. And then, of course, tensions can get elevated, when you're spending time with others. So,
And maybe the opportunity to Chad to talk in that specific area with domestic violence and stuff. There are a lot of resources out there, but your officers are also trained in dealing with. I mean, you are kind of the starting point at this stuff. Maybe share some of that information that your officers have taken training. Different officers taken training in these
yeah, sure, absolutely. So,
domestics in general.
yeah, on a regular basis, we do have in-service training with folks from either the district attorney's office, usually either on the legal side of things and how it relates to domestic abuse investigation, or we also will periodically have training related to the victim perspective and how domestic violence impacts victims. So these situations with the pandemic obviously can exacerbate a situation and make an already difficult situation more challenging, considering you are unable to leave potentially, or maybe you have been laid off from work or those sorts of things. So there are a lot of different factors that are coming into play as it relates to this pandemic that could make a situation more dangerous or challenging for an abuse victim, and or just create more situations for tension within a house that could escalate into an abuse situation. So we are always willing to point victims to resources. We are fortunate to live in Dane County that not only the district attorney's office has some resources available, but also domestic abuse intervention services here is based in Dane County. So there are resources available that we can help get people pointed to.
I appreciate you sharing that information. It's something that I know I'm proud of you guys for the training that you guys do and the extra steps. And I know that's a big part of calls of service. Kind of transitioning a little bit here on the car theft side of things. We've had some car thefts. Any updates in that front?
Unfortunately, we are continuing to see car thefts, as you have mentioned. I don't have numbers from a year-over-year standpoint, but it seems to me just anecdotally to be at least consistent with the past couple of years. Even with the pandemic, we are still seeing folks out and about. They are targeting cars that are left unsecured. So again, we've talked about this before, but try to take away that crime of opportunity. We have had several officers out during this pandemic, and we were doing this before that as well, that if they do see an open garage door at a house, they are knocking on the door in a lot of situations and just providing a friendly reminder to the property owner or the resident there to say, hey, your garage door is open and it's 2 a.m. Sorry to wake you up, but we just don't want to see you become victimized of a crime. So we get those things happen. You get busy and you leave your garage door open or your car unlocked and those sorts of things. But by all means, try to set a reminder on your calendar or a note by the back door or wherever you last spend your moments before you call it a night, to just make sure you've got things secured. And of course, don't leave anything of value in your vehicles. It's always amazing when you see cash, when you talk about cash being taken from a car or electronics, or in rare cases, but not ultra rare, but occasionally firearms are taken from cars and those sorts of things. So don't leave those things in there. Lock your cars up, use some motion lights, take away the crime of opportunity.
Yeah, and it's something we've talked. we laugh a little bit about it because we've talked about it so much, but until we find some middle ground here, which we've talked about that area too. It's we just got to keep being vigilant, and we'll keep sharing that information out. Chad, thank you so much for taking the time with us as usual. Glad to hear everybody's safe. You stay safe, and staff as well. And we'll talk to you next month.
Sounds good. Same to you, Jeremy.
All right, that's Chad Brecklin, your Chief of Police, taking the time out monthly to get you updated on what's happening at the police department. We'll take a quick break. You are watching Talking Fitchburg.